Hey guys, I always get asked these weird questions. People call all the time and they're like, does size matter? Yeah, size matters. It's a weird thing, but it's true. You gotta be on the right size bike. And today we're gonna tell you why. Come on in.
Yeah, dude.
All right guys, so I get calls all the time. Hey, my kid's 4'7". What size bike should he ride? Hey, my kid's 5'3". Hey, my kid's 3'2". Hey, I'm 6'1". What size bike should I ride? I don't know. Why are you calling me? You shouldn't be calling me. I got other things to do. I'm not your bike size guru. Some people think I am though. Kind of scares me a little bit. There's size charts out there on the internet. You can see somewhere they're gonna put something up here, size charts. I don't know what they're putting behind me. It scares me. Guys, put down in the comments what they're putting behind me. But these size charts, most of the time, these size charts, they're wrong. They're a good rule of thumb. I don't know why they call it a rule of thumb, and my thumb's turning blue today. Jesus, how did I become a Smurf? On these size charts, they're a good rule of thumb, but they're not 100% accurate. When you're talking about sizing on different things, for instance, on a stem, here you've got a 48mm stem, here you've got a 65mm stem. Both of these stems are considered pro size stems, but obviously you can see they're different. And these are to fine tune the way that you ride on your bike. So this 48mm stem, it's 48mm from the center of the fork stem to the center of the bar clamp. And this is a front load. So it actually drops the rise of your bar a little bit below where it sets up on the fork. So this is to help fine tune the way that your bike rides. So if you have a Pro XL frame, you're on a 21¼ top tube bike, and we'll get into what top tube length measurement and rider area measurement is here in a second. But say you're on a Pro XL frame, you're on a 21¼ So say you're 5'8", you're on a 21¼ bike, and you're running a 48mm stem. But something just doesn't feel right to you. You feel a little cramped. Well, should I just throw on this 65? Well, the 65, it's a 65mm from the center to the center. Now putting this stem on, it's a top load, and you can see the difference that we have here. Not only are you changing the length, but you're also changing the rise of the way that your bar goes. So with this, you could add a couple of spacers underneath your stem to bring your bar up. You could flip your stem to bring your bar up. You can switch to one of the traditional top load stems. These, believe it or not, you can actually flip and invert. People run these as an inverted stem all the time. So just this one little thing, by running a different stem on your bike, you can fine tune the feel of the particular frame that you're on. So should that rider go from a Pro XL frame to a Pro frame? Should they shorten up? Should they go to a double XL frame? Should they add that? On these frame lengths, we're talking about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch difference. Well, going from a 48 to a 65, right there, you're adding 17mm. You're adding 3/4 of an inch. So all of a sudden, you're taking that 21¼ top tube bike, turning it into a 22-inch top tube bike. So just by changing the stem, it's like you turn it into a double XL. So should I go to a double XL and put the 48mm stem on? That's something that you need to fine tune for the way that you ride. When you go to the double XL frame, you're gonna have a longer wheelbase, it's gonna be more stable, it's changing your rider area, but there's a lot of things to consider when you're putting this all together. So bike fitment is a huge thing. It's not just something that you can call someone up on the phone, or you can look on a chart and go, oh, I need a junior. Oh, I need a Pro XL. You really need to fine tune that. And the best way that you can do it is try a few different bikes. You can look at these charts. It's a good rule of thumb. There's no question about it. Your bar size, it's also gonna change the way that you feel on the bike. If you have a taller bar, it's gonna change your back arch. The way that you are on the bike, it's gonna change. So if you're in a pedal position right now, your back arch is like this. You've got your bars, you've got your cranks coming down here, and I raise that bar up. Now my back arch is like this. So it's changing the leverage of my pull. It's changing my level of control. So typically, you wanna have your bars down low enough to where you can get a good pull as you're coming out of the gate, but you also want it to be comfortable enough on your back and be stable enough for control. You never wanna be too hunched over so that you're feeling out of control and putting too much weight over the front of the bike. You don't wanna put your weight over the front of that axle and having that front end wash out. So again, this is something to where not only are we gonna talk about bar height for this, but we're gonna talk about bar angle, and we're gonna talk about stem length to really fine tune it. When people ask about what size, there's a ton of variables to think about. And people don't understand that. They don't think about that. They just, I wanna get on a bike, I wanna ride. Luckily, most of us bike manufacturers have gotten it to where, hey, we've got the geometry pretty set up and pretty dialed for you. We've been doing this for 35 years next year, just as Supercross, not to mention the other companies we've been doing. We've got a lot of time really fine-tuning this geometry to try and set it up for you to have the best riding bike possible. And then it's up to you to go to your local bike shop and to deal with some of the local riders to really fine-tune it to make sure that it rides right for you. Do I need a mini bar? Do I need a cruiser bar? That's something that you need to understand for your type of riding. I know I've probably confused you more than I've given you answers on this one right now, but it's something that it's not just a 1 + 1 = 2. You can't just go to the chalkboard and go, well, I am 6'3" and I need 1 + 1. It's not that easy. You can't just do that. You've got to spend time. Do I need a 2mm spacer? Do I need a 3mm spacer? And spending that time and learning to get the bike to feel the proper way for you is gonna make you have more fun when you're out riding. A comfortable riding bike is a more fun bike. You're gonna spend more time riding it because you feel comfortable on it. It's gonna give you more enjoyment on it. And it's really easy. Couple little bolts, change a stem, change a bar, add a spacer or two, you're gonna be pretty dialed in. I think it'll be an easy thing for you to do. Each of our factory riders ride different size bikes based upon their personal preference and their experience. We have had some riders in the past that are shorter riders riding really long frames, and we've had really tall riders riding really short frames. Typically, if you have a shorter wheelbase, it's gonna be someone who's a lot more of a jumper, and a longer wheelbase is someone who's spending a lot more time on the ground and a lot more time manually. If you go to the Supercross BMX website and you look up the team pages, all the riders have profiles and it lists what size bikes they ride. A question we get asked all the time is, if I go to a cruiser, how come the cruiser frame top tubes are a little bit longer than the 20-inch top tubes? Typically on a cruiser, you're gonna notice you have a greater slant on this top tube. That's because you have a longer fork to access the bigger wheel. So what you're typically doing is you're trying to set up a rider area from where your crank, from the center of your bottom bracket to where your grip area is. And you want those areas to be the same. So with this frame, because this head tube is higher, this top tube has a greater slant, this top tube measurement is typically longer for a pro cruiser compared to a pro 20-inch, or an expert cruiser compared to an expert 20-inch. But your rider area from the crank to the grip, not from the crank to the head tube. but from the center of the crank spindle to your grip area is typically going to be the same. Rider area is a little bit of a misnomer in BMX. Everybody always used to talk about top tube length, from the center of the seat mast to the center of the head tube. This is how frames were always measured. Along the way, there were a couple bike manufacturers who started to really slant out their seat mast angles. So all of a sudden, by slanting out their seat mast angles, the wheelbase from the center of the rear dropout to the center of the front dropout would remain the same, but their top tube length would become excessively long. So they started measuring their frames out from the center of the bottom bracket to the center of the head tube. So a lot of people started calling that rider area. This rider area measurement can change a lot as well. If I raise the bottom bracket, that number becomes lower. If I lower the bottom bracket, that number becomes longer. So it's really critical when you're looking at frame geometry that you know all the numbers, and most of the frames that are out on the market, going by the top tube measurement is gonna be sufficient for you to be able to figure out the sizing of the frame that you need. Go out to your local track, meet with a couple of the other riders, what the hell am I saying? Geez, I need more coffee. Why are we shooting these in the middle of the night again, Daniel? What the heck? It's 2 in the morning again. Why are we doing this? What are you guys doing to me? Go out to the track, meet with a couple of the riders, sit down, say, hey, something doesn't feel right, or hey, your bike feels awesome. How can I make my bike feel like this? Spend that little bit of time and you're gonna make sure that everything fits you perfectly. You're gonna have more fun. And you know what that means? It's time to ride! Go! Go! Hey guys, so if you were down at Dirty Fest, you saw the factory team wearing these new retro jerseys that we did. You know, kind of cool ones like what Ray Luscombe had, you know, back in the day, but some cool black sleeves. This was special for Dirty Fest edition. So we weren't gonna sell these. These were just for team issue, team riders only. But everybody's been kind of going, hey, we really want one of these. And Mike Miranda was like, hey Bill, you know what would be kind of cool? We can do a limited edition run. We can put the Dirty Fest logo on it. So it'd be a commemorative. It'd be a special commemorative only from Dirty Fest. And you can get it with your name on it. You can get your number on it. So Cyberhorse, down here in Southern California, we're gonna do a limited edition run. For 30 days, you can order your jersey, get your name, your number, your retro jersey. But you gotta get it quick, because once they're gone, they're gone.